I couldn't code for them. Obviously, I was a non-tech guy. Entire world was like, what is this guy doing? Like, Polygon is at the peak, just raised $400 million. Hey, hit up Aishwary and any help they need, you would be willing to help. If you are happy helping people, go out and help. When it made you smile, that means that you've already been paid. We'll use that money and we'll open a shop or a small business, and I don't think we have a problem there. That kind of like has given me a lot of liberty, and I've grown with a mindset which is very open. Like, okay, you go and whatever you want to achieve, go and work for it. I don't think blockchain is a selling game. You sell something when you have a product. Hi, Aishwarya. Thank you so much for joining for this. And I want to first start with like everyone almost like calls Aishwarya Bhai because it's like any help they need. It's just like a general notion, at least within Indian ecosystem, is hey, hit up Aishwarya and like he would be willing to help. Where does that come from, and like where there's willingness to help? I think like one of the things that like I have learned majorly from like after coming to Polygon and like Web3 is that, and like going and traveling a lot. So a lot of that influence also comes from two things in my life. One is a lot of travel, like looking what people are doing and everything like that, and also like from a perspective of the way like I've been brought up, right? And always like I've learned a thing that let's go out and help people, irrespective of expectation of a return. And like one of the biggest things that I see this way is like when you go out and help someone and you expect a return, the problem that happens is when you get a return, you will always, irrespective of what kind of return you got, you will always measure it. And the moment you start measuring it, there's a very high chance that you will always be like, yeah, this like I went out and I wanted to help so much, and this is what he paid me. So even if you get the reward, you'll be sad. And then if you don't get the reward, then you'll be like, bro, like I helped him so much, and like he did not even do anything for me. So both of these things are kind of like something which would always end up taking you to a place where you will be not satisfied. And there's this one thing, like I don't know when I heard this, but this line was there, like which said, like whenever you're doing something for someone, you will get a sense of happiness, and that's your payout. And if you are happy helping people, go out and help. And when it made you smile, that means that you've already been paid. So I think that is kind of like one of those philosophies that I have learned a lot from. And that's why like it's more like, okay, if I feel that someone genuinely needs something, I would be there to help. But that also means that that I will have to take that call, that whether this is something which is like much more genuine versus someone who is just trying to go out and extract value because he knows that like somehow like every like this guy helps and I'll just take help. Right. And you touched upon this, like how you grew up or like how you were brought up. Like, just like walk me through how was it like growing up? How was like just in general, what was the environment you grew up in? How was like Absolutely. I think like so I come from a very humble background. Like my father has been working in a bank. Like he started his job in a rural bank. That bank kept merging from different banks, and like today is like one of the bigger banks. But the idea that I see from that is my dad has worked his entire career in just one bank, and but one of the things that he has always taught me like is like you can go and achieve whatever you want, and I'm there with you. So like often what happens is there's a lot of social pressure on your head when you grow up. Like in general in India, like you have this people going out and saying, okay, what if, so when I was like going out, so some of the incidences that I can share like is like when I was trying to complete my CA. So I'm not a first attempter CA. And like when you become a multiple attempter CA, everyone is like, your relatives are like, oh, have you become a CA? And when you say no, yeah, like this is difficult, why are you even doing it, right? So like, and then like that is where you lose a lot of your confidence because everyone is saying that. But the way I look at my family and my dad, right, and my dad has always been like, cool, you like I remember when like I was always like a very good science student, and like I was going to IITs for like contests and everything like that, and suddenly 2008-9 when I was in class 11th, I suddenly chose commerce, and like the entire world was like, what is this guy doing? Like my like coaching teacher, my school teachers, my mom, my friends and everyone like that, why are you doing this? And my dad was like, cool, go ahead and do it. Like if you feel this is something you want to do. And if it doesn't work out, what we'll do is like we both will open a shop and like you sit in it. Like I'll get the retirement money. Like once I retire, we'll use that money and we'll open a shop or a small business. And I don't think we have a problem there. So that kind of like has given me a lot of liberty. And I've grown with a mindset which is very open. Like, okay, you go and if whatever you want to achieve, go and work for it and do whatever you want from that perspective. And so that has been like my like kind of like childhood, like getting a lot of like that liberty from the thought process of my family and being able to go out and do whatever I want and I choose to do. And that has essentially helped me a lot in like shaping into thing what I am today. Because and even today, like if someone wants to go out and pressurize me to do something, good luck, you'll not get it done. But like if it is more like me going out and like doing things the way I feel it, obviously I'm not saying that I'll defy everyone, but like generally until unless it makes sense to me, it's difficult for me to like kind of go and get behind anything. But once I do, that's where like you can't stop me there. So I think that is where like my upbringing has been majorly. And I've always been like creative from my school life and everything like that. And that has been like and my even my school life has been like super enjoyable. And like I remember like back in when I was in class 11, 12, the most glorious years of your I think school. I was one of my teacher's favorite. And like everyone, like if anyone else is going out and doing something, they probably will get punished for it. And I'll just stand there and laugh because the class teacher is like one of my favorite teacher. Like she thinks I am her favorite student and she'll not do anything. So I think a lot of good memories and a good days back in my childhood as well. Nice. Is and this like mindset of abundance and like no fear of failure, is that something that helps you out go and help other people also with like no expectations? Absolutely. I think the way I look at it is like, okay, cool. Like, I like if someone is going out and getting something done, probably like I think there's this one phrase like I don't know. I often used to hear was like "Dua mein yaad rakhna," right? And I think I still believe in miracles, right? Like and so this has been always my like thought process that okay, like if someone needs help, go out and help them. You don't expect a return. If they give it, cool. I was not expecting it, so that's like a bonus, but that bonus is not mandatory. And but yeah, like I think the major thought process that is actually coming in is from that thought process only, which like I've always grown up with. Okay, do whatever it's feel right, help people, and just be an enabler, right? And a lot of those like back in 20s, like one of the stories that a lot of people don't even know about is 2018, like when I was about to become a CA, there was three failed attempts before that in CA final. And I was like, this is the last attempt I'm giving. And probably I'm not even sure if I want to do anything about CA. So I joined a political boot camp and then like I was among all these politicians and everything like that. And even there, like we go out and see a lot of those politicians which are there today. I won't name any of them as people like who are very arrogant and everything like that. But when you actually sit with them and you try to like, I worked 2 months in all these campaigns and everything like that, very closely with a lot of like high profile people. And the idea that I got from there also was like, let just enable things. Like your work should be, you should enable things, let them let them happen. If they happen, they will happen for good. If they don't, then that is something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And just move on. Interesting. And so from like CA to politics, back to CA, then to Web3, how's been this journey like? Walk me through like what prompted you from that politics going back to CA, completing, and then from there, how was the journey coming into crypto? Yeah, absolutely. I think so. My journey has been a little bit different from a perspective of like I was not the guy who essentially bought a bunch of crypto and got like really rich so in crypto. I hope I did that, but yeah, no regrets there. So like when I was like basically, so I've always had like that kind of an entrepreneurial knack. of doing something of my own. Back in 2017, I was trying to start my own business, but that was in equity crowdfunding. And at that time, like there was a lot of laws and everything that were about to come. I was like, I'm super early when people will realize this is gonna come. They're gonna set up companies and everything, but I will be already ahead of curve. The funny part is that laws have still not come today. So that's like 7 or 8 years. And like, say I shut down that startup, I went back to CA, completed my CA, and then um, uh, like I did not want to kind of go into. So at that time, I was like fully made up my mind that I don't want to get into anything in related to CA. What was enticing at that point of time for me was like a lot of this political boot camp. So I just gave like a random interview, and they just selected me and said, yeah, you should come. And I joined there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like those 1 month, I still remember it's still like that was just 1 month, and I still have a lot of those friends from even today. And this is back in 2018. So even after 6 years, I still have a lot of those friends from there. And one of the things that I realized was like, this is good. Like I should go out and do that. Unfortunately, I became a CA. And then my parents were like, you've already spent like 7 years, 6 years, finance, CA and everything like that. Why don't you give a try to the first job? And if you don't like it, you should leave it. I knew it was a honey trap, but I was like, okay, cool. Let's take a job. So I just went to the campus. Whatever was the first job that I got, I was not even prepared. I did not even prepare. Like just tomorrow's the interview. I just left. Tomorrow morning, whatever happens, happens. The first company which gave me a job was PwC. I took that job. I had like other interviews also. I was like, cool, I have a job. I should go back. I'm done. So I did then, but the job location later on was like Kolkata, and I was like, I've never been to Kolkata. That's like a completely total stranger place for me. And like when I reached there, I mean, the culture of like West Bengal and Kolkata is super chill. Like super chill in the sense like people are like so laid back. And I'm like, if I stay here for 1 more year, I'll be like I'll be a version I wouldn't like myself. So I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? So back then I got like a call from American Express that they have a job in treasury management. Though like in CA days you learn about all these things, but you don't have practical experience. I told them this and yeah, that's fine. You should come over. So like 3 months, 4 months down, I left PwC. I joined Amex, and because it was treasury, so money movement, like we used to move like $5 billion a day, and hedges, forwards, swaps, and all those financial instruments that you think of, right, was something that I was doing like my day job. And then there was a very big demand of like analytics and everything like that. I learned a couple of analytics, did robotics process automation, RP, and everything like that. And then but one thing which always pinged me in those 3.5 years was uh like every time we had this team outing, right, and like someone from my team is carrying a laptop, and I'm like, this is the most frustrating thing that I've seen. And why? Like, the biggest thing, the challenge is the world still runs on Swift. And the challenge is Swift is dependent on the local markets. So all the markets in the world have different timings, and Amex had 132 entities, which means some entity has to move some money from some jurisdiction to some other one. And that was like, so my team is having a lunch, but there's a deadline. So they are having lunch and they're opening their laptop on the other side, and they're just punching in a Swift MTR note and everything like that. And like, there has to be a better way, right? And that time I realized like American Express was one of the investors in Ripple. Back in 2018, they invested, I think, I don't know how much, but yeah, they invested there. So I thought if we have invested there, there would be something that kind of, well, like we would be doing something with them. So I became super curious, tried to do a lot of things to find out whether that is something that is happening or not. Found out there's a research lab. We were doing some pilots with Bank of Santander, like there was and all those things. So essentially became like I started contributing there. Obviously, I was a non-tech guy. I hadn't like all I could do was research, right? I couldn't code for them and everything like that. And back in 2018, 19, it was all coding, 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 like whatever you're trying to build. And yeah, so I think that is where I got into blockchain. And so that was my movement from there. And then like at that point I was also doing my exec from I am Calcutta. So my batch was like super experienced. Like it was like an average experience of 12 years, and I was like 2 years experience guy. That pushed me to like figure out something that I need to do something in front of these 150 people for them to like take me seriously, because
There's a CEO in that cohort. There's a SVP. There's a VP. There's someone who has been like a chartered accountant more than my age, and everything like that. So what should I do? And like that is where like I think blockchain helped. Like, so one of the cohorts was about blockchain, and funny enough, what the professors were teaching, nobody was even able to understand. And that's why like I literally taught the entire batch of those 150 people who were actually wanting to learn blockchain. And that created a very, very, very big ripple effect, because now what has happened after that, what happened is like a lot of people they knew. So if they would be approached, they would all send all of those connections to me. Like, go and talk to Aishwary, he will help you out. So I started teaching out of nowhere. Like, I had no idea I will ever teach in my life. I started teaching massive amount of fear. And I think this is something which I want to share more, because a lot of people have that fear, like stage fear, right? You look at me today and you feel like, okay, this guy is so natural with the camera and everything. But that's not never has been the case. Like I remember my first batch. So I was like, let's go out and do something in blockchain and teach non-tech, because there's no one non-tech teaching there. So I just posted on LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn is like at that time was like really, really very well positioned. So I just posted it, and the one post that there's a free blockchain course if you want to do. More than happy to join me. And I did not expect there were like 450 people. So I had to create 3 WhatsApp groups and everything like that, because I also did not know. I think back then WhatsApp did not have these many people that we had it, right? So I created multiple groups, and I'm like, how will I manage these people? Then I bought a Zoom subscription, because Zoom accommodates 100 people. Yeah. And I was like, I feel that all these people would come, right? But yeah, but then the other fear that I had was like, I've never been on the screen. How would I do that? So me and like one of my friend Prem, like we both recorded actually podcast instead of going live. So we recorded a podcast, which was like we both wrote a bunch of stuff, and then like we would just talk to each other in that, like by reading that paper. So that was first batch. The second batch, like because it was free, a lot of people were just like hanging around. Then I implemented this rule: if you're not active, we'll slash you, like we'll kick you out. A couple of people took it very seriously. Like I literally removed them from the group, and they called me and they started fighting. Like, why have you removed me from the group? I'm like, you've never replied since the time you've joined. Yeah, but I'm like passively learning everything. So people would fight to come back to that group. I was like, cool. So yeah, that was the first batch. The second batch was like, still I don't have the courage to come in front of the camera. So the video is off. There's a presentation that you can see, and I'm reading at the background. The third batch, I have a camera on. I have the presentation, but again, it's a recorded form where I'm reading from like the screen of the laptop. Fourth batch, no reading, but I'm just like, it's because I've already done that 3 times, so it's in the flow, and but still a recording. The fifth batch is when I first said, okay, now what I'll do is you can learn from here, and then I'll take a weekend class where I will solve all your queries. So I'll give you like this week's reading and video and everything like that, learn from it. And weekend, like I'll take a without a video call, but like on a Zoom. So that was my first. Sixth batch was the final batch where I had the courage to kind of be like full open camera and like, yeah, give me a question. I think a lot of pressure was also there on me, because of the people who were coming in those batches. First of all, they were paying me. There was a batch fee. The second biggest challenge was these people were the who's on who's, right? And if I go out and teach these guys something wrong, all they need to do is one LinkedIn post and my career is dead, right? So that used to push me a lot to learn. And I think I learned a lot by teaching. Uh, and then like, yeah, I think that is where this whole thing happened. And like, I outsourced it in a recorded form, still running today. But I never contribute there anything anymore. But yeah, so that was like something which is there. And while I was teaching, because I created such good relations, I think I was about to quit like Amex at that time, because my learning curve was done. So at that time, like I was so fearful. I don't know if you remember 2021 earlier, there was this whole fear of crypto being banned in India, right? Yeah. And that was a time I was taking a full jump between like your non-crypto Web 2 world and Web 3 world, right? And I was super lucky at that point of time, because I had a bunch of these mentors that I got from this IM batch and everything like that. And all these people were like, sure, you should go and take the job. Oh, and if nothing works out, if crypto shuts in India, we'll hire you. And these were like almost 20 people who said that to me. So it's like, I'm hopeful that at least one of them would give me a job. Like, not 20 people would lie to me. Like, there's nothing for them to lie to me. So I said, cool, at least someone would give me a job. And even with Amex, when I was leaving, my senior VP, who was sitting in US, like he knew like that this guy would leave after he has done his like exec and everything like that. So he said, you want to come whenever you want, we will welcome you with open doors. I don't know if it's the HR policy or he would have actually take it, but I think that was enough for me to kind of take a jump. I took that jump. Yeah, I think I joined Zeppe, then I joined Seba. Then I think Ravi, who was earlier in Polygon, he reached out. He said that sure, there are some roles in Polygon, and Arjun was the guy who actually interviewed me. Okay, and super funny interview as well. I think I've talked about it a lot, but like super funny interview. Like, Arjun calls me around 11:54 in the morning, and I have a call at 12 with the head of Polkadot, Billy Baboon or someone. I don't remember names. I'm bad with it. So Arjun is like, Ishwara, do you have 5 minutes? I said, I have exactly 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, 5 minutes are fine. I'm like, cool. So the initial 5 minutes, he had a bunch of questions about me and everything like that. Some technical questions about Web3 and everything like that. And then it's 12. But Arjun is speaking. So I can't cut him like, oh, he's interviewing me. I will not cut him, right? So he's like, Ishwara, do you know the rule? The role. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but would you be open to tell me the role once again? And he's telling me the role, and here Billy's like, can you ask the question? So I have one headphone where like I'm on a call, I have other phone on my other side, and he's explaining me the role. I had literally heard nothing about nothing about it. And then here like I'm talking to Billy, and like 3 minutes later Arjun is like, are you even hearing what I'm saying? Because you're not responding. I'm like, I muted him. No, I'm hearing everything. I understood the role. I'm happy to do this role. I don't know what the role is, but I'm happy to do the role. And then we like just negotiate on the salaries. Like, we've already changed a couple of jobs this year. I'm not going to give you a hike. We'll talk in 3 months about the hike. And, but are you still interested? I said, yeah, I'm still interested. So, yeah, I think I took that job. And yeah, since then, like, been like 3.5 years now at Polygon. Did a couple of roles at Polygon. Yeah, and that has been like my journey from like a complete Web 2 to Web 3 and like CA to like being a blockchain guy.
Right. You talked particularly about like this people don't talk about the fear to come on camera. Do you think that also binds into the ability in today's world of storytelling? Like
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like storytelling is a very important aspect. Like, if you look at a lot of Silicon Valley founders, uh, they have a beautiful story, right? And the story is something which actually connects someone into like understanding why someone is trying to do. And like why, like every time someone asks why payments, because that's the problem that I faced at that time back in 2018. I'm still trying to figure out how to solve that. There is partially that has been solved, but that is still the driving factor. Like, I've been in the DeFi team, I can do DeFi, I can do consumer, I can do enterprise, but still my first love in here is payments. So I think storytelling is a very, very important aspect. And one of the biggest challenges I think which I see often is in like our like bhais and like brothers in India is like they tend to not tell the story enough. They have a story. I'm not saying they don't have a story, or I'm someone who has a lot of stories. It's just that they have the story, but they feel like, why should I tell my story? Because often also what happens is like a lot of people are like, okay, why should like people like this guy is like just faking, right? So they fear a lot. And even when their stories are right, they don't come out with it. And if you don't come out with your story, like how will I know? And there was this like just on a quick note, there was this I think there was this someone like I'm not remembering the name.
we're
But
bad with them.
yeah, I'm super bad with name, man. Super bad. But yeah, I think like who's this like guy who was from Indore? He's a comedian. He also like,
Rajamani? No, no, no.
but yeah, anyways. So I think one of the things he said was like essentially when you are kind of going out and sorry, I completely lost my chain of thoughts.
No worries, no worries.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, so coming into Polygon, you had this funny interview and you took up the role, whatever It was. How was that journey kind of like then on ramping into Polygon? And you said you joined 2021. Polygon is at the peak. There's a lot of excitement around it. Just raised $400 million. And like from there, I think so you have seen this curve of Polygon evolving, a bunch of like spin outs happening. How's been that journey?
I think one of the, so like people say that in Web3 the things move very fast, and like you multiply a number of months and years and everything like that, and that's true, right? So one of the things that like when we raised the funds, like a lot of people were like hire people, scale faster, and everything like that. We went through that curve where like I think we were around 600 people at one time, and for a blockchain as the foundation, that's a lot of people. Like I think we were hiring 2 people per day, so that was the speed at which we were hiring, right? And then like the moment we had that kind of influx, right, a lot of cultural shocks started to happen, because like when before that the team that was there was like, this is exactly the size of like my flat. They all used to like live nearby here, and they were doing everything. And from there to having like all these managers coming and saying, can you prepare this report and everything, and like what is happening, right? And that is basically one of the biggest thing that was kind of a very tough challenge. And why I call it as a challenge is because culture is very important in an organization, right? And like suddenly like you were like just going out and doing things on your own, but now there are 3 people whom you have to first convince, and then you do need to do things. So a lot of things change, and that essentially was a lot of challenge that brought a lot of challenges. I think everyone like Sandeep and everyone realized that. They stopped that hiring. They said we need to fix this culture and everything like that, but this was like took 1.5 years. And in that time, what also happened is like in Stripe, you have all these startups that are getting created in it. But what they do is when they get created, they're initially only sent out. But what happened with Polygon is like it became like a factory of a lot of products inside, and that also like hampered a lot of our messaging. Like, what is Polygon doing? So like I used to go on a call, and the people were like, which protocol should we use? Should we use Supernets? Should we use Polygon POS? What is the difference and everything like that? And we would get into some BD calls where these new people who have been hired have no idea about blockchains. They were just randomly their salesmen and everything like that. So there's a selling things. They have no idea what they're selling. They're just selling. I don't think blockchain is a selling game, right? Because you sell something when you have a product, and it is a mature product, and you know that this is exactly what you need to sell. Like Circle is a product which USDC is a product which you can sell, because you are not changing USDC the way it works, right? You can do bunch of other things, but it's a product which you can sell. But so that was also not clear. So a lot of those misalignments also happened, and like public was confused. Like, what exactly are you guys doing, man? Like someone I talked to, he says you should do it here. Someone other I talked to, they say that you should do it here, and like we're super confused. And from that perspective, I think that's when we realized that like I think we have too much because we acquired a lot of companies and everything like that. I think that is something that we realized. I think maybe early 2023. So then what we did is like we realized that okay, like if Avail is being is about to become matured, why don't Avail go out, raise their own funds and become a separate startup? Why doesn't Polygon ID go out and raise funds and become a separate startup? So that way essentially we started kind of going out and getting all these products out, so that what Polygon is doing, let Polygon do that. And one of the things like when we were building these L2s, right? Like where you this SuperNAS and chain development kit and everything like that, we realized this is not a moat, right? This is a commodity. So this commodity would be like this would become a commodity which is free in the coming time, and there's no competitive advantage. But before that, also like we were the first ones to kind of bring that ZK VM into life. Realize that maybe Ethereum might be ready in 5 years for ZK, but Ethereum in its code base is still not ready for the ZK that essentially we want to build. Why? Because the kind of processing, like the byte size of blocks and everything like that was much higher than like what is the maximum gas that Ethereum can go out and take. So a lot of things started breaking and everything like that. And we also realized that a lot of people, because of this model, because this is the proper revenue making model when you're launching an L2 because you're making money on your sequencer, which means that now a lot of people would launch L2s. So we already knew early 2023 that a lot of people would launch all these blockchains and everything like that. So that is not no more a moat. What a moat would be like how these blockchains can talk to each other. And I think Polygon has taken a lot of inspiration from Cosmos anyways. So from that perspective, you're looking at IBC and like a bunch of things. But with IBC, one of the things that we realized and was that in IBC, you need someone to create trust. Like a new chain which just joins IBC, like first of all, they need to kind of go out and commit to IBC and like let's say I want to launch a new chain out of my like room. Why would you trust it? Like why would IBC trust it? So we need something which is enabling things without a third party creating that kind of a trust mechanism. And that's where like I think the Agler thesis came into the picture. Like, can we create a mechanism? That was one the reason. The second reason was like when you move assets from one chain to another, everyone is following their own standards, and hence like you end up having like a lot of same different wrappers on the same token. So I think that is where the whole Agler thesis came into the picture. What we imagine, what is getting built is, and so we were like super focused. Let's go out and build Agler. Have like kind of go out and ensure that that connects everything, and the way we imagine it is like exactly like like the HTTP, where essentially you have all the servers which essentially are communicating through a common mechanism. Obviously, that's much higher TPS and everything like that, but let's go in that way. I think that is where we have been working on. That is where we are, and hopefully, like this year is something where we see a lot of those chains finally connecting once the Aglair launches, maybe end of January or something like that.
Ask you again, what is Polygon?
Polygon is in a very simple format is a blockchain solution which is scaling Web3. And the way we look at it is there are only two or three products which are now there. One, Polygon POS, which is like a blockchain where we are trying to go out and convert it into a Ethereum as well. But it's a blockchain, it's a public blockchain. So you can go out and use that public blockchain for whatever you want to do in a public domain. We have Agler, which essentially connects everyone, and that's pretty much it. So that is like the major top two priorities. And then like you can launch your own chains, but that doesn't have to be, and this is like one thing that we want to kind of go out and message very clearly. You don't have to build on Polygon to be like connect to the Agler. You need to like you can build like that's why like I think our partnership with Movement Labs was one of that where a lot of people started asking like how is Movement connecting to you guys? Isn't are they building a CDK? Like we are like no, they're not building a CDK. So now can we go out and can we connect any chain and every chain? The answer from at least the EVM perspective once this gets live is yes. Do I need permission from anyone to actually go out and do that? No. Why? Because all you need to do is you need to prove a chain from day one. And once you prove the chain from day one till the time they are running, so when the moment you become live, you can go out and use that to move assets. So from that perspective, I think that is what Polygon is. And then like there are smaller products which essentially like lesser focus and everything like that. But yeah, that is how like we are now looking at Polygon.
Nice. And so for at least every Indian generally who got into crypto, Sandeep has been like sort of like a person icon they look up to. Has been for you working very closely with him, and where's like how have you seen him also evolve and yourself evolve with like as he's evolving through this ups and downs and trying to figure out, and as you said, being a more mature blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. One of the things that like a lot of people think about Sandeep, he's like I don't know about it, but like a lot of people think like he's very arrogant and everything like that. Honestly speaking, I've never seen him arrogant. Like never. Like even when and I think I've made the biggest mistakes and I've told him, Sandeep, I lost this thing or something like that. He's like, cool, it's okay. And he's always been like a very good guide. Like believe me, like we feel that Sandeep is like very big, like from that perspective and everything like that. You won't believe like he has been like my health coach for the last 1 month. Like he's literally telling me like how to go out and do my intermittent fasting, how much what should I eat, what should I not eat. If I don't tell him my weight for 3 days, he'll ping me back and say, what is happening with your weight, right? And like so one image of him is like, oh, this guy is like not approachable. This guy is like very hi-fi, some founder who's like very arrogant. But then when I look at him like as someone who's like an elder brother to me. And it's not like I want to please him and I'm saying that. I genuinely feel that he's like really good at heart. And all all what I've learned from him is like, if you're true to him, he is very good to you. But then, like, if you try to go out and say take advantage of him, that is where things will become tricky. Like, not in the sense of tricky, like he will go out and do something for you or to you. It would be like he would become inaccessible. And I think this is exactly what even like the earlier time, the line that I forgot, Zakir Khan told like one thing, and that is like a very very fundamental thing that has always been with me. Like he said, when people actually turn back again or do wrong to you, there are two ways. One, you can become a villain. The second is you can become a hero, and that is the point that defines you for your life. So when someone is actually going out and doing something wrong, being a villain, like you look at Batman, right? Being a villain, Joker. Being a hero, Batman itself. And then like the person is the same. The situations are the same. Like if you compare Joker's journey and Batman's journey, the pain they both have is the same. But one becomes a hero and the other becomes a villain. So it's very easy to become a villain, but it takes real courage to become a hero. What that means is, like, if someone is not being good to you, just walk away. But tomorrow, when they come back to you and they want to approach you, you just go there as if nothing happened. Like, yeah, we were friends. And at that point of time, the other person would realize his or her mistake. But if you try to go out and force that, okay, you did a mistake, you should learn from it, you will never learn it. And I've literally practiced that in my life. Like a lot of people I meet, they're sometimes super arrogant. I'm like, cool, it's okay. Like, but then later on, I've seen all those arrogant guys, like call it luck, call it destiny, all coming back to me, being humble. So I think that is something which even he is like, he is super cool on the all those occasions. He's like, cool, you don't want to work with us, I'm happy. I will not do anything, but then you don't have my support. So I think that is what Sandeep like has been to me. And so if again, it's like if I need any help, he's always been there. Even like and I don't have a reporting to Sandeep. And but if I need anything, he's just like a message away. So that is like a different version of Sandeep that essentially is not like talked about, because publicly he's like that arrogant guy who is like fighting with everyone. I don't think like now he is, but back in like last Bulldon, remember like everyone used to feel like he's so arrogant, like Sandeep versus Murray. Yeah, exactly. Sandeep versus Murray. So yeah, I think that is where it was. So yeah, that has been like it's really a very good journey with him, and I think probably one of the biggest reasons why I have stayed at Polygon for even like 3.5 years, and I don't like intend to kind of like even leave even right now.
Mm, understand. And what do you think has been your like kind of biggest win at Polygon?
I think like I said, I've always been passionate about payments, right? And so I think even from the start, I've always been like, payment is one thing that people will do, and you don't need to incentivize. Because if I'm buying a cup of coffee, I will have to pay you, right? You don't need a 10 cents incentive for that. So I've always been like okay, payments should be a very important aspect for us, and a real world assets, financial. Because I come from a financial world, I understand all the financial markets. So the way I looked at it is like always was like, okay, you like we should focus on payments and everything like that. And you know, when last year when we closed and I was looking at all the numbers of the chain and everything like that, one in every three transactions that is happening on Polygon is a payments transaction, which means that like whatever thesis I came in Polygon with is actually working out. And this year my goal is to like make it reach one in every two transactions. Right? I would call it as a win. Maybe like that way, like the partnerships that I've built, the thesis that I've built, the collaborations, which essentially most of them are not yet public, because I'm just first of all making that entire thing ready from end to end. and then just go all in. So yeah, I think that would be kind of like one of my biggest success that I would say about me in Bali.
Nice. Talking about like the journey and like the conversations we have had previously, also, you were talking about how like you were weak at following up with relationships or long term, like committing to like building that relationship with someone. What do you think has created the most impact in your life that changed that?
I think so that like people do not so self love. That's the one single word which is there. People often like I've seen myself going to that level where if I look at myself today and I feel that is was that the same Aishwarya that I am, I would say no, right? And a lot of that also comes in. So like life has taught me one thing, that self respect is everything. And the second thing is you need time to heal. Like there will be instances in your life where essentially it will break you. But what you need to understand is if you essentially give in to that, you would never revive. But like if you give yourself time, if you let yourself heal, and if you practice a little bit more self love, you'll be able to kind of recover from any situation. So people tend to kind of go out and be like, yeah, that happened, but I don't want to talk about it. I think that is something which I have done in the opposite side. When I failed, I've talked more. When I have lost something, I have expressed it more by writing it. There was one time when I was doing my own podcast. Like I don't know, like if anyone heard about it or anyone even would hear it. It's still on uh like Spotify, talking about my life, right? And that's like 10 episodes that I wanted to do. 7 were done, and like last 3 was like I will do it once I become something, and so they're still pending. But the idea is like I think that is where a lot of people fail. Like failures are a part of life. I think I failed enough. I failed in a lot of situations. That has made me a lot more humble. But with time, I've realized that after I failed, I've given myself time to recover, and that has really worked, and that has helped me a lot.
Right. And like moving from all of that, like, getting married and how has that impacted your life? Like,
I think so. This is one of the most funny thing. Like so, almost so like when my last relationship like I ended, and that was like a very negative ending for me. Like being in a relationship for 5 years, and then someone saying, "Okay, I don't want to marry you because you don't earn enough," and that was like a very big shock for me. So like whatever my confidence was, like literally went negative. Right? And that's where like all the self-love and helping yourself and everything like that came in, because I was not this guy. I was like a super arrogant guy who was like, why the fuck should I talk to you, like kind of guy, like, right? And from that to someone who's like super humble and realizes that there's things more to in life and everything like that. I think that has been something which kind of transformed into me. And then like that is where essentially what happens is, so I literally uh took 3 years to find the right life partner, and I was not in a hurry. Nobody in my family was. Being a guy, nobody in your family is, right? And that is one of the beautiful things about men, that you have time always. And I think like and being in India working in crypto anyways, like people think I don't know what illegal thing he's doing, right? Still, like even today people feel that you'd so I had my courses, right? And you would not believe I made Swati watch my courses first. I said if you can because after getting married you need to answer all the relatives of yours what I do, and I'm not doing that. I'm telling you today, I'm not doing that. So, and she was like so sweet. She actually sat for a 30-hour class, and she actually learned basics of blockchain, what is DeFi. And then she said, okay, now I understand what you do. I said, I don't want you to work with me. I don't want you to come into the Web3 space, but that was like a very sweet gesture. And she learned everything and she was like, okay, now I understand. I said, now if your relatives ask me, you will answer. She's like, yeah, I'll answer. And yeah, that was like one thing. And then like I think from that till today, like I think she's all, and like one of the things which I was very very serious about was like what not to have in my next like phase of life and my relationship. Someone who is controlling in the sense of like, why are you doing this and everything like that, because that's a lot of pressure on your head, right? So she has been like really very helpful. She's like, you want to do something of your own, go ahead and do it. You want to leave your job, I don't have a problem. You don't want to leave your job, you want to continue, all I want you is to be chill. Like I don't want you to take stress. We both come from like the same humble background, and that is another good thing about it, which is like we both have come from a place of not abundance to abundance. So we are both happy being in any state of life, right? So that essentially matches a lot. And hence, like the way I look at it today, she has been like a very good pillar from a perspective of the kind of help I need and everything like that, how to manage everyone within the family, outside family, and everything like that. Taking care of my own family, which like I sometimes forget because of so much work. And like, so yeah, she has been like always instrumental in ensuring that I don't lose that family touch. But at the same time, I am able to do whatever I want. So if I'm going out for a flight at 5 a.m. in the morning, she'll get up at 4:30. I never ask her to do that, but she would get up at 4:30, try to prepare something for me so that I eat before I leave. And like if I'm coming late from like work, like my flight is coming at 1:30. So I'll find her awake, like waiting for me, like just and like that essentially gives me a lot of like that happiness power, or like you can say a lot of self belief that okay, whatever I'm doing kind of is something that she's also knowing about it and she's happy about it, and that helps me keep going more.
That's amazing. So if you feel like finding the right partner is like 100x unlock.
1,001.
1001. It's incredible. Um, Switching gears a little bit, like what is your personal drivers right now as like individual ambition that you have?
I think the biggest ambition that I have is I want to, I don't know how, like, let me be very clear, I don't know how. And I'm trying a lot of things. Is how do I go out and like walk into the same footprints of Sandeep? From the sense of like making India even more better. Like one of the biggest, like a lot of people come and ask me, why are you in India? Like you pay so much taxes, right? And like I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm fine with it. But I want to kind of go out and do something for India, which essentially helps it to kind of become even better and bigger. So I think that is one of the biggest drivers that I have. Money and no money. I probably would not put money as like my top kind of focus to kind of go out and do things. But if you have to ask me like to choose between kind of doing something for India and like taking $1 million job, I probably will choose India. So yeah, you can call me stupid on that as well, but because like why would a person getting $1 million would do that? I think like the way I look at India, the way India works is it takes time to unlock. I am 100% sure it takes a lot of time to unlock, but once you've unlocked something, then there's no stopping. And that is my personal belief, and that is why I kind of want to continue kind of going out and finding ways. And there are a lot of things which are not good in India. There are a lot of other things which are very good in India. So I want to try to like find that perfect balance and try to go out. So that is has been like my top driver as of now. And the second is like, yeah, still I feel like I've still not made my parents proud enough. So I still want to make them even more proud. And I think these are the two only drivers which essentially are there. And the third one, which is not a driver, but it is like the way I feel is like if I continue going out and helping more people, there's the way the universe gives you back is gonna be always a multiplier, which is like maybe tomorrow, like I am not there with my parents right now, but uh, like I'm 100% okay here because I know that all the friends that I have at that place, if something or anything that is required there, I'll give one call and someone would be there. So I think that is one thing which is there. I don't know whether that is like a goal or something or like what drives me, but that gives me a content that okay, whatever I am doing, it's okay to do it because there's someone else who's ensuring that anything that is needed for me is always there.
Just like paying forward circle, right? Yeah.
Correct.
It's like I remember this song like Chain of Love. Have you heard of that song? Yes, and like yeah. He talks about that. So on a closing note, like what do you think, what are like for you 2025, like three top predictions?
I think 2025 there like India would unlock a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm hopeful because a lot of things that I've poured my heart into in 2024 would actually come into life. A couple of them you know already. A couple of them they're still like being done. So that is one thing which is there that is still being worked on. So that is that. The second thing that I look at 2025 from a perspective of like the Web3 world is we'll have more intersections between AI, payments, and all these. So payments and AI are the two other things that I'm super bullish on. And from that perspective, how the mainstream adoption happens, I think 2025 would define a lot of that. And so that is something that I'm still working on. And I feel that we will have a lot of things in general as an industry to kind of showcase that we did this in 2025.
Nice. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashwarya, for, I know you're always willing to do something exciting and helping out other people. But this one was special. Thank you so much for hosting me at your home as well. So great.
No, absolutely. I think thank you so much for coming over. I know it's a long journey from in Bangalore to come over as well, and like yeah, thank you for that. Like, and super happy to kind of go out and be here. And like, I'm again like reiterating, if someone wants help, they want to kind of go out and grow, I'm more than happy to it. But like, if someone is like, I'm also telling you what I will not do. I will not go out and help you if you are like, I see you doing the same thing again and again, same mistakes again and again, even after I've told you, and you're just repeating it and then again and again asking me. Probably that's where like I probably might not help. But apart from that, I'm always there.
I can vouch for that. Thank you so much for always being so supportive and for Filament, always encouraging, and always coming up with like ideas, feedback. So, very thankful for that and for being also our early enabler. So, absolutely. And,
Sir, thank you so much.
thank you.